The Ducati Scrambler Full Throttle is one of 3 new Scrambler models that Ducati has unveiled this year.
It is supposed to be reminiscent of flat trackers and of course still has the air-oil-cooled V2 in L shape with desmodromic valve control, so a real Ducati. Jan and Dietmar went for a spin. Ducati's Scrambler model range continues to enjoy great popularity.
That's why Ducati even gives these bikes their own website. There are 3 1100 and 3 800 variants.
The smaller 800s are sold more frequently, of which Ducati is putting the 3 refreshed variants Nightshift, Full Throttle and Icon in the shop windows for the 2023 model year. The Icon, which we have already tested, is the cheapest model for €10,590. It has the highest handlebars and can be customized in 9 colors thanks to a clever cover kit modular system. The primary colors are red, black, and yellow. The cover kit with 6 other colors costs only €285. So if you're bored, you can get a little variety here for little money. Great idea. We tested the Full Throttle here, which is only available in red and black and has a Termignoni exhaust on board. It costs €12,490 and also has an aluminium oil pan protection, a contoured seat and side trim with the iconic number 62 as standard.
Thanks to the rear license plate holder, it has a very short rear end with tiny LED indicators.
Visually, the Full Throttle makes a good impression.
The seat height of 795 mm should not pose any problems even for smaller pilots.
The handlebars are mounted a little lower than the Icon, which has a very high handlebar, but it is very wide and not as low as the Nightshift, which has a very low handlebar. The golden mean, you could also say. The driver has enough space, but it will naturally be a bit tight for the passenger. Although it finds recessed grips below the seat, real joy over long tours for 2 should not arise here. On the other hand, there is joy when maneuvering, because the machine weighs only 185 kilograms ready to drive. The weight should also not be a problem for smaller people, and women should also be happy about the handiness and maneuverability of the Full Throttle. By the way, from our point of view, this is an issue that should not be underestimated when choosing a motorcycle. The Ducati Scrambler models of 2023 have technically saddled up properly.
While the predecessors were still very puristically equipped, all 3 models now have a 4.3-inch TFT color display, 2 driving modes, a very well-functioning quickshifter and lean angle sensors with cornering ABS and traction control. You can't complain about lighting either. The Full Throttle has full LED including daytime running lights with separate switch and LED indicators. These are small, but nice and bright. The TFT display is easy to read, but the operation is unfortunately a bit fiddly. After a short period of getting used to it, however, you can get along. The driving modes can be configured, and there are also beautiful pictograms that illustrate the respective parameter to be set in a visually appealing way. The sound of the Full Throttle is typical Ducati. There is grumbling and rattling, and someone nearby also seems to be shaking a bag of shells. The Termignoni muffler sounds really great, and of course an air-oil-cooled Desmo V2 has a lot to offer acoustically. Or to put it another way, the other 2 Scrambler models without the Termignoni also sound good. The Ducati Scramblers have always been very agile and maneuverable motorcycles. If you switch from a larger machine directly to the Full Throttle, you even feel a little wobbly. But after just a few meters you get used to it and are happy to see how willingly the Ducati turns into the corners. All it takes is a minimal steering impulse and the machine lies down to the left or right.
And that's despite the fact that the Full Throttle has an 18-inch front rim.
However, a 110/80 tire is mounted, which certainly contributes to the maneuverability.
By the way, Ducati has chosen the Pirelli MT60RS as a tire, an excellent choice. This tire not only looks sharp, it also works great in the dry, but also in the rain. The Kayaba chassis is not adjustable except for the spring preload at the rear, but it is perfectly matched to this type of motorcycle. It's tight, but not uncomfortable. The suspension travel of 150 mm also makes it possible to ride into moderate terrain, although this is not necessarily part of the nature of the Full Throttle. Rather, this motorcycle feels comfortable in the city and on the country road. The brakes at the front are okay, but at the rear they are a bit weak on the chest. Never mind, the Ducati brakes sufficiently well overall. Now a word about the engine and the driving performance. With 73 horsepower and 65 Nm of torque, you shouldn't expect top performance from this machine, but it still goes forward quickly. If you give it a try, you can produce wheelies without much fuss and otherwise let it rip. In any case, no one will be overwhelmed here, and that is exactly what makes for immense driving pleasure. Now, scrambler machines are not necessarily made for such speckles, but it's still a lot of fun to give the horse its spurs. The V2 is happy about any form of throttling and, above all, is very talkative. You can just feel what the engine likes and doesn't like, and typical for a Ducati, you can hear exactly what's going on down there. It's hard to describe, but it's always a great experience. If you have never driven a Desmodoo before, you should do so as soon as possible. The best way to do this is to take a test drive with a 2023 Ducati Scrambler 800. Fortunately, the Full Throttle has been able to transport the typical Ducati Scrambler feeling into 2023. This bike is simply a real fun grenade that pretty much every motorcyclist should be able to get along with. On top of that, there is a 2-year warranty with no mileage limit. Due to the complex valve lash control, however, it goes to the service every 12,000 kilometers.
Dann wollen wir nochmal den Test von 0 auf 100 machen. 3, 2, 1. Ab geht der Fuchs.
So, jetzt machen wir mal den Durchzug. Von 60 auf 100 im 5. 3, 2, 1 und ab geht der Fuchs. Oh, er schüttelt sich ein bisschen und jetzt kommt er und jetzt habe ich auch schon 100. Oh, herrlich. Ja, also Holger von Ducati, also von Bergmann und Söhne hier in Bremervörde, hat mir vorhin erzählt, er ist ja auch gefahren und er findet, dass der Motor ein bisschen softer geworden ist, also ein bisschen, ja, nicht mehr ganz so ruckelig, und ich muss ihm da recht geben. Also das ist immer noch natürlich ein V2 von Ducati, so wie er sein soll, aber er ist sehr kultiviert irgendwie, finde ich. Obwohl er immer noch ganz schön brubbelt, wenn man Gas gibt, aber auch so beim Durchzugstest, irgendwie früher hat der V2, der LV2 da immer ganz schön so gemeckert irgendwie, aber jetzt sagt er, ja, mach ruhig, geht doch. Das geht echt geil.